Hello, art friends. This is Mrs. McComber. Today we're going to make our own color wheel on a paper plate. We are going to study color theory. We're going to create a project in the style of Vincent van Gogh, one of our masters artists. Today what you'll need is some sort of paint. You want paint that is thick, or at least thicker than watercolor. Watercolor is transparent, means you can see through it. If this is all you have, then you can certainly do this with it. But it is best to have thicker paint, such as washable tempera, my favorite. Or you could have leftover acrylic paints. And acrylic paints could look like this in this bottle. Or they could look like tubes. Whatever you have at home is fine. And the neat thing is all you need is blue, yellow, and red, because those are the primary colors. There's 3 of them. And from those primary colors, you get all the colors in the rainbow. So these are really super important colors. They are the first colors, the primary colors, or I like to say first grade colors. And then when you mix them, you get a new color, which would be the secondary color, or a third grade color. When you mix a primary and a secondary, you get a tertiary third grade. So first, second, and third grade colors, first grade colors, primary, second grade colors, secondary, tertiary third grade colors. So we're going to study color theory, we call it, while we're painting. Your project is only going to need to have 3 colors of paint, secondary colors: green, orange, and purple, or violet. You could do it on a yellow background of construction paper or any paper you have. If you only have white, though, that's just fine too. You could use any color, I would say, for your background color. I like to use yellow, but I think colors like tan or brown would be okay, just as long as it doesn't compete with these 3 colors that we have here. I'm using construction paper, just a half sheet, which would be, that would be 9 by 12 inches. You could use Xerox paper, though, which is what I did here. Where did my Xerox paper go? On my other project. Oh, right here. Excuse me. Xerox paper, which would just be 8.5 by 11. You also could use a full sheet of construction paper. Whatever you have at home is great, and whatever size you want to make it is great. So let's start. I want to experiment a little bit. I'm going to do it on this brown paper just to see what it's like. You can see it in yellow, you can see it in white, so let's do a little experimenting. Here are our primary colors: yellow, blue, and red. So we're going to start by mixing and making secondary colors, the second grade colors. So yellow is really weak, so I tend to use a lot of yellow. A little bit of red. May have gotten too much. Let's see. So I mix till I get the color I'd like. That looks pretty good for orange. Now you could use a rinse water bucket or a can or a cup. I am just, for purposes of saving time, using separate brushes for each one of these colors. Next color we'll make is blue. Use a lot of yellow. Yellow is weak. And put a little bit of blue. And when you get a color you like, I like that green grass color, I'm going to quit. And then we'll move on to the violet. So we're going to use equal parts of red and blue. Stir it up. Hopefully you'll get a plum color. purple color. Still looks pretty dark, even looks a little brown in here. I'm going to add some more blue until I get the color that I like. So this is fun because you can make different shades or hues of the same color however you like. All right, that looks pretty good. It's dark, but it's okay. Now remember, I'm experimenting on this. You can see how it looks on yellow. First thing we're going to do is start with the green. Okay? So the green is actually the top of the table and a vase sitting on the table. So let's go with green. You can see the basic shape. It's a U. Make a U. Go and get some more yellow. Make some more green. Put my blue. I want it to be thick enough that you can't see through it. Here's my U shape. Here's the top of the table. Top of the table. So go out to the edge of your paper. Next, what we'll do is we will create the stems and the centers of the flowers. We'll make 4 or 5 circles. Usually in art, things look better when there's odd numbers, and 5 is an odd number, so I'm going to go with that. So I have 5 circles. I need 5 stems. Now your stems could be in a clear glass vase, or it could be solid water. This is going to be water. We'll do that one last. Okay, making this one bend over a little bit. Now, if you did not have a piece of construction paper at home, you know what will work really well is a brown paper bag. You can cut out and use that for paper. Aha! It's got a nice thickness. So here are my stems and the centers of my flowers in the vase. Next color we're going to use is the orange. Okay? So for orange, as we said, yellow and a little bit of red. I think I like that color. So I'm going to make half my flowers orange and half purple, and then the table for the tablecloth. I'm just going to make my petals come out from the center. I want to see my center of each flower. And I'm going to make some of them orange and some of them purple. They're going to end up going over the top of each other, and we call that overlapping in art. Now that was a big brush, but that's okay. It gives a different texture. Oh, let's see. We need to paint our tablecloth. I'm going to stop with the flowers right now, and I'm going to make my tablecloth orange. Now, if you mix orange and if you mix orange and green together, you will get brown. So some of that may happen to you. Also remember to work with a piece of newspaper or another piece of paper so that you don't end up painting on a surface that your caregivers don't want you to paint on. I'm using a piece of wood. It's actually a chopping block from my house as my surface that I'm painting on. Then I can wash it because this is washable. Now, some paints are not as washable, like acrylics, not as washable. So keep that in mind so you don't make a mess at home. So here's my tablecloth. Done with that. Last, we will do the purple. So my purple, I'm just going to take. Now you can see my brush is a little smaller in this one, so it's going to make slightly different petals. So you may want to, on purpose, use different size brushes and experiment with that. That overlaps the orange. This one looks on top. This one is going to overlap this one on orange, making the orange one underneath look like it's on the bottom. And then last, the water, which I'm not going to make it blue. I want to make it purple because this is a secondary Van Gogh Sunflowers project. I could experiment and see if I want to see my stems in the water. So if so, I would kind of go around my vase. Now, if that doesn't look too good to me, I could just erase it by painting over it because purple is so much darker. So there you have it. You have a tablecloth, you have a vase sitting on a table, you have your Van Gogh sunflowers. Remember, you can change the background or choose your own background to make this. Okay? Now, Van Gogh liked to paint with chunky, thick paints. That's why we use tempera that we did, or the acrylic. If all you have is watercolor, which is transparent, that's okay. You can use it. The thing is, it won't be so much in Van Gogh's chunky style. Thick paints, we call that opaque because you can't see through it. They hide whatever's underneath. Okay? That's why I was able to paint over those stems. If I were doing this with watercolor, you would not see the water covering, as I chose to do at the end. You would just see the stems coming through somewhat. So 2 words: opaque, thick, non-see-through, and watercolor is transparent. Okay? Let's move on to the next part where I would like to show you a little bit about Vincent van Gogh, and I am hoping that you can pause the video and read a little bit about him if you are interested. Okay? Vincent van Gogh. And then let's show you one of his famous artworks that you will recognize, Starry Night. And you can also read about his ear incident. There are a lot of different opinions as to how that happened. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson on Vincent van Gogh. If you want to read more about this man, you can find him in this art book that I like to use as a reference of all the masters, most famous artists through history, and their artworks that made them famous. Thank you. Have a good day.